Hi there, and welcome to another video by Dave Tromp. This video I will look ahead at week 36 in 2020, looking at the forex markets, the currency markets. I do a video every weekend where I do these kind of forecasts, so if you like these kind of things and you want to stay in the loop, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, so I know I can continue making these videos for you guys. So this week was a very interesting week. Let's have a look at what happened first and how I forecasted this past week, the week before. Looking at the dollar index, that's the index where the dollar is indexed against other currencies like the euro, the Great British Pound, etc. If we look at this, we can see that the dollar has been going down, and last week we formed this spin bar. So technically I was expecting a small move upward. I gave that a higher probability. Just looking at the technicals, because we had this inside bar and we made a false break, like the market was, the dollar was going down, but then it closed higher. So I said, there's a high probability we can see some retrace at least to this trend line, this upward sloping trend line, and because it's a very long-term trend line of the dollar going up, before you could go down. And then last week there was the Jackson Hole meeting where the chairman of the Fed has a speech. So let's switch to my other screen. I looked this up on investing.com. They have a nice comic on Mr. Powell. This Mr. Powell, that he's inflating the stock market, the Dow, and this is actually what happened. He had a speech and he said that they are still targeting the 2% inflation rate, but they would target this as an average. And that makes a big difference because according to their way of measuring inflation, we have not hit this target of 2%. And if we would hit it, then they would stop their easing policy. But now they are saying we will not ease our policy if we hit the 2% inflation target, but only if we have an average of 2% inflation, meaning that we would need to see a higher than 2% inflation for quite some time before they would start easing. So this is basically saying we will keep the printing presses going to create inflation. So if you want to know, read something more about this, I wrote a post a few weeks, 2 weeks ago. It's how you can build your wealth or more wealth with gold. And I look at inflation specifically and why gold is a good hedge against it. And I also have some t-shirts that say inflation sucks and taxation is theft. So if you want to buy them, you can go to a link in the description below and then go to the merchandise page and you can buy a nice t-shirt that says inflation sucks. You can make other people aware of this. And so basically they are going to continue printing dollars and sending them out to the world, probably using swap lines and tools like that. And that means that the dollar went straight down this week or past week. And also gold was going sideways, but in the end it closed higher after the speech of Mr. Powell. And my opinion is that we will see the stock markets go higher still, even though they are very high already. We can see gold and things like Bitcoin go higher. So let's have a quick look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has broken out of this this triangle formation, and now it's been retesting almost this top level of this triangle, and my expectation is that we will go higher still this year. So, but now let's jump back to my regular analysis. Let's go and look at the dollar index. So dollar index is still going down. We now have definitely broken below this support and resistance line, and also below the trend line. So next target will be the lows right here. I expect the dollar to go down more in the coming weeks. So I'm going to keep that in mind looking at the other currency pairs that I'm trading. So let's have a look at the euro against the US dollar. Of course, this one went up. I had two positions on, and I had a long position on, and I got out of that position at break even because we had this large pin bar forming, the same as we had on the dollar index. So I expected a high probability of the euro against US dollar going down, and then of course the news of the speech of Mr. Powell came, and then that blow the dollar down and the euro up. So last day we went up. So I had a possible short on, placed an entry below this pin bar or below this bar right here, but it did not get triggered, and I closed this this position now, or this order. It's not on my account anymore, and I think from this point on we will start to see higher euro against the US dollar. That's the most likely path. We have all the moving averages are aligning to the upside, and the signal line is above price. Also we can see the MACD turn possibly higher here, and we already see the RSI going higher. So that indicates that there's more momentum to the upside. So not quite sure how I would trade this immediately. Let's have a look. I think I would want to wait for a break of this high here before I start taking any longs. Or if we see a retracement maybe to this level right here, I could play along with a target maybe around this level right here, and then maybe keep the trade open if price moves higher. So that's one way of trading it. Let's move on to the Great British Pound, US dollar. Let's switch to the weekly. Same picture here. So we had this pin bar, so I placed my take profit at break even. So I got out at break even when price went up, and I placed a potential short, but that also did not get triggered. So I can close out this position as well. Let me switch to the daily. Yeah, so price almost triggered my entry, but did not trigger it, and then prices went up. So this one is closed out. Also on the Great British Pound US dollar, clearly trending up. So no sense in shorting this. Also we've just broken this high, and we have this other high that we are still have to hit. So maybe if price moves a little bit lower into this area here where we had these highs, then we could take a long trade as a bouncing trade of this level. Let's zoom in maybe to the 4 hour to see if we can get a better picture. Yeah, still the same. So we do have this strong support and supply and demand zone here that coincides with longer term support and resistance levels. So definitely if price retraces back to this level, then I am going to take long trades. So that could possibly be something like this. So we have a price coming to this level, we take a stop maybe below these areas here, or maybe below the supply and demand zone, depending on how risky you want to trade it. So a very conservative trade would be to keep the stop below these lows here, and then see if we can hit the target here, and that's a nice 2-to-1 trade when it comes to reward to risk. So that's one way of trading it. Let's move on. Let's go back to the weekly and switch to the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm in this trade to the downside. Price broke below this longer term trend line, and I got in right here. My stop is now at break even, and let me zoom to the daily. And then yesterday we did have a bit of a retrace, forming this pin bar like bar, but I still think it's gonna go down. Anyways, my stop is at break even, so I will not lose anything on this trade if it goes against me. So here I indicated I have moved the stop to break even after we saw this bullish engulfing candle. So I've been trailing the stop from here to this high, and now I moved it to break even because I thought we might see a move straight up, and then I want to be out and reconsider my position. But as I said, I think we're gonna see probably a rebound of this support area here that now will be a resistance area, and maybe we've already had this kind of move up here with this pin or this wick here almost touching this level. But Monday we might open a little bit higher, go into this level, and then I expect it to drop. And then again, if it doesn't drop, then I'm out at break even. And if it drops, I will continue managing my trade by moving my stop lower and lower and lower. So that's the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. And the US dollar Japanese yen still trading sideways. Let's have a look. So the longer term picture is that we are still in this kind of triangle pattern with a straight bottom, and it's getting the price is becoming more consolidated as we move along. And on the daily, we can see that here the dollar dropped against the Japanese yen Friday when Mr. Powell's speech was. So I'm looking for a bounce higher again from probably this level right here, maybe with a stop below here. So if price reaches this level, then I will be looking to take a long trade. So that would look something like this. So we would get to here and then place a stop below here, and then probably target these recent highs here. So that's also a nice 1 to 2.3 risk to reward trade. And then from there, the general trade direction is to the downside. So I will not want to target maybe these levels or this level. So I think I'm going to take a tight target on this one to be out rather quickly before I expect price to reverse. Then again, if we just break lower very strongly, then we could trade it the other way. So that's with the trend, and then we could trade a bounce, a rebound. So let me draw that in. So if price breaks lower here, then I will wait for a rebound here and then take it to the downside. And then one way of trading that would be taking a short when price hits this level again, and then I think this would be a very safe way to place the stop, and then target these lows here and then see if we can get a nice risk to reward. So this is also a 1 to 2 risk to reward, so that's sufficient, but probably price is gonna stall somewhere around here, so that's a 1 to 1. So when price gets here, I probably want to move my stop to break even. Okay, so that's the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Let's move on to the Swiss franc. Very interesting. let me zoom out, rezoom. So it's basically going sideways, as I've said before, and we've broken this low right here, and then I got in when we broke there, and I targeted this area right here, because that's a long-term support area, and I actually got out of this trade with at break even as price retraced here. But as you can see, for the longer term, it would have been a good trade to stay in for the longer term. Of course, I didn't know this when I got out here at a small profit, because I saw price hit this level and I thought it's gonna turn around, that it formed a double bottom here, but apparently it didn't. Anyway, it's going sideways for a long time, so I think it's good to have been out here, because anything could have happened. We could have gone higher, we could have, and we could still remain in this range for quite a long time, and that will keep my trading capital locked up. So I'm not too unhappy with getting out here with a small profit. But as you can see, looking at from the longer term picture, if I would have been in, then let me see, I would have been in for maybe already a 1R profit. Let me see, make this bigger, even a 1.5R. So more actually. Let me see if I can change this. Let me make it compact and re-zoom and then zoom in. So this would have been, I would be in almost 1 to 2 risk to reward already, or reward to risk. But anyways, you never know. I'm out of this trade, but if you stayed in, congratulations, you are in a nice, handsome profit. Moving on, the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, moving higher strongly last week. It's the same story. The dollar is moving down, so New Zealand dollar and the Aussie dollar are moving higher. So this is very interesting what's happening here. So we have all these lines of support and resistance that I mapped in, because it's been moving very systematically down, forming these highs. So if we line these up, you get all these areas that we can expect some turnarounds, maybe small ones or maybe big ones. And now we have broken up above the recent high here. So if we zoom in on the daily, we can see that on the daily we're actually starting to trend up. The signal line is above the price here, so I will be looking for retraces to this level to take it higher, or maybe trade it from a break higher of this level, and then target, and I will be targeting all these different levels, seeing how price will react there, and see if I want to stay in or maybe take profit. Of course, stop loss will be below this low right here, or maybe below the 200 moving average, or maybe these lows right here, to have a very secure stop, meaning that if price will move below this level, then the trade idea of going long is very much undone, invalidated. So then I want to definitely be out of my longs. Excuse me. New Zealand dollar, let's look at the Aussie dollar. I had a short order on that did not get triggered. I removed the retrace order here, so that one can be removed like this. So this one can also be removed, so I'm gonna be trading only to the long side from now on, because last week I was expecting a turnaround when I saw these double tops forming here, and we had some lower lows forming on the RSI, while we had a lower highs on the RSI, and while we had higher highs on the price. So let me explain that a little bit. So we had what we call divergence. So here price was moving higher, and here the RSI was making a lower high. So that could indicate that there's less momentum here, and that we could be turning around. So when we, let me see, this is 21. Yeah, so this was the, let me remove this one as well. So this one was the Friday candle. So I said if we're gonna break below here this level, then we're gonna go down. But as you can see, price just started going sideways here, and then on Friday or Thursday, no, Friday, when Powell had his speech, of course the dollar went down, so all the other currencies like the Australian dollar against the US dollar went higher. Now quick look at the price of gold. Gold is in this somewhat small triangle, and now I expect it to break out, especially as the US dollar is weakening. I think tomorrow when the markets open, or on Monday when the markets open, we will break higher. Maybe we'll see a retest, and then the sky's the limit, in my opinion, with gold. So we're not overbought, so that also helps. We can still see more room to the upside. So if we break higher, then I will be waiting for some sort of retest. So let me also have a look with you at my two trades. I had two losing trades on gold, where I got stopped out by just a few dollars right here when price went down, and also here then I entered again. So this is a trade that I had on, and I lost 1 R on it, and here's another trade that I lost when price just moved slightly below here. So the point of me saying this is that my stop placement was much too tight. It should have been below these this low, probably here, and below these moving averages to have a safe stop. But I wanted to play it a bit tighter, got a bit greedy, I guess, and I was too convinced of an immediate bounce in the price higher of gold, and that just didn't happen. The market just needed time to consolidate and accumulate, and I think many big players have been accumulating here, and now there's no gold left probably, and that means that price will shoot higher. Maybe I'm gonna get in at the break here immediately and then take a very nice wide stop, maybe below here or maybe here, or I will wait for a break and then a retest, but I'm not quite sure if we will see a retest after all the statements that Mr. Powell made on the monetary policy on the US dollar. Because usually if the dollar is weakening, then it means that precious metals go much higher. Silver, same kind of story here. Let's switch to the weekly. Of course, we had this huge breakout, and now we can also see this kind of consolidating pattern that we saw on gold. Usually silver is a lot more volatile, so in this case maybe I will take a trade when price breaks above this level, so that's around the $29 level, and have a very nice wide stop below here at maybe $23 more or less, and this will be a long-term play then for me. So that's a trade that might be open for many weeks or even months. That's it for me for now. I hope you like this forecast. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and also check out my websites for some interesting articles that I sometimes write. And I'll leave the article that I just showed you in the description below, a link to it, so you can have a read. And I hope you enjoy it, and see you in the next video.